Well, on his recent tour through the Middle East, the Egyptian president, that's not the Israeli president, the Egyptian president, said that Trump has the kind of personality that makes him capable of the impossible. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle here with Steve Green and Scott Ott. This is your right angle about Donald Trump. And actually, much more interesting to me is about Donald Trump not being a politician. So that's kind of where I would like to explore today. Gentlemen, has had, for our presidents, for the longest time, we've had politicians. Basically, we've had politicians. And now we have a person who's a businessman. This is the first political position he's held. He didn't work his way up through Congress or Senator. He simply walked into the presidency. I am interested in the idea that politicians don't know how to make deals. I'm quite interested in that idea. So, Scott, let's start with you. Barack Obama was convinced that the mere presence of a guy with the middle name of Hussein would mean that the Middle East would bow down and worship and would basically give us everything we want because we wouldn't be bad guys anymore. Well, as it turns out, not only did we not get that in the Middle East, we didn't get it anywhere in the world. Nobody took it seriously. Nobody takes it seriously. So is there a possibility that this is not so much Donald Trump as a person, so much as a businessman's way of thinking about political problems and the ability to do what he's famous for, and that is get two people together and make a deal?
Listen, the good side of politics is that you are constrained by the next election to behave in a certain way. And so this is sort of the constant threat that the people hold over your head, that if you don't do what we expected, then you're not going to get reelected. And that is kind of what has driven the behavior of congressmen and senators and presidents from time immemorial. They feel like they have to do certain things, and if they don't behave that way, then they're out of a job, because that was the be-all and end-all of their existence. That's what they had hoped to be. They wanted to be in political power. Now, if you come into a situation where it wasn't really your goal in life to be in political power, but rather to make a stinking pile of money, well, then you really don't have the same kind of motivations. And now it can drive people crazy because they go, what is this guy thinking? Does he have any idea what he's doing? In a real sense, no, he doesn't. He really doesn't know what he's doing because he is surrounded by politicians who behave in certain ways because of their expectations groomed over many years. Trump doesn't have the advantage of that, nor does he seem interested in it. He doesn't. So when he goes overseas, he just does what he would do if he were on a business deal and he wanted to he wanted to get 10 acres of land for a new hotel. And that's not entirely a bad thing. I mean, you can wind up risking, as we've talked about in a previous episode of Right Angle, you run the risk that you're acting out of nothing but practicalities and economic realities rather than values and projecting American strength because of American principles. On the other hand, when you walk in and you're able to sit down with the Saudi Arabians and then sit down with the head of the Palestinian Authority and with the Prime Minister and the President of Israel, and you're interacting with all of these people. And now, as we record this, the President has just landed in Rome and is going to the Vatican. He's going to visit with the Pope. When you're able to hobnob with all these people and your whole goal is, hey, how can I look really great in all of this? And I don't even care if I get reelected. I don't know anything to the Republican Party because they didn't really do squat for me. So it kind of frees a man, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think his motivation is how can I look great in all of this. I really don't think so. I genuinely believe his motivation is to take care of America's interests overseas. The thing you said I could not agree more with is the idea that he doesn't need the job, so he's not beholden to the whole re-election gun to the head and so on. And all politicians get into politics because they would like to have a big private personal jet to fly around and be called sir. And most of them are too lazy or too stupid to know how to do it other than through politics. So no wonder they cling onto this thing like a rock. Steve, I'm just working with this theory, and I think there's some evidence for it, because domestically, Donald Trump has not been as successful as many of us would have liked, at least not in the initial stages. With the health care rollout, and the budget was disappointing to a lot of people. We don't know if we're going to get tax reform, may not even get a tax cut. However, when he goes overseas, he's just bang up fantastic. When he's dealing with individuals like an air conditioner company, or he's dealing with specific union people, they come out of the meeting saying, this guy's amazing. He's absolutely incredible. So do you think that this is the flip side of being a good businessman. He can make a deal with an individual like a union, an air conditioning company, the president of Egypt, because he has executive power. He's an executive. But when it comes time to running the country doesn't take orders from him. He doesn't have the ability to say, well, I'm sorry if you don't like it. If you don't like it, you're fired. This is my company. This is how we're going to do it. So do you think, well, I don't even know which side of the coin is top, but it does seem to be like it is a whole different mentality, doesn't it?
Let me give you what I think is the setup here. On domestic politics, I think we're just doomed to be frustrated, not just by President Trump, but by really any president as small government conservatives, but maybe particularly by President Trump in this case, because yes, he's the art of the deal, but he doesn't come from, he kind of came onto conservatism by accident. He's not a long-standing principled conservative. And so the art of the deal might be to get a deal, not to get the deal that those of us hoping for real reform are hoping for. That may, however, be a real strength in dealing with the Palestinian issue, which is that is how we started on this, right? Was the Israel-Palestine thing? Good. So I would like to discuss this. It's important, I think, and it reveals what maybe is real strength. If he wants to sit down and get both sides, the Israelis and the Palestinians, and I guess the Palestinians' Arab sponsors and in Saudi Arabia and elsewhere, all around a negotiating table, like Bill Clinton did, like George Bush did, like Barack Obama tried to do. If he takes that approach, it's doomed to failure. It's failed before. It's going to fail again. However, there is an opening here. There's a real opening here. The Saudis have been sending some signals quietly that they're getting really tired of the Palestinian authorities' BS. That the Saudis are maybe willing to put some pressure on the Palestinians to broker a real and genuine and hopefully lasting peace with Israel. Now, President Trump, with very little ties other than the willingness to make a deal with anybody, might just be the right president to broker an entirely new kind of deal where he uses pressure that was not available to an Obama, a Bush, or a Clinton previously. Now, successful men are lucky. Great men make their own luck. Donald Trump has been a successful man. With this one issue, he might just have the opportunity to become a great one.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you.
I think that this is the Donald Trump sort of paradox, is that he seems to be a little imperious here at home and so on, and one-on-one he seems to be much, much better. But I do want to finally close with one thing, and I think this is a fair thing to say. I said a few moments ago that Donald Trump cannot tell the Congress to do things because it's not his company. He doesn't own the company. However, the Republican Party does own the company right now. I mean, in a real sense, they are his employees, right? Isn't that what we were told this entire time? We need the House, we need the Senate, we need the presidency to get things done. So if these people are all a part of the same party and we deliver this, and Donald Trump is maybe not the owner of the company, but he's certainly the chairman of the company, I would like to think that some of these junior level people and middle managers, in other words, members of the House of Representatives and the Senate, would get on board and understand that you were sent here in order to change things. And if you don't change things to a sensible system, then you are going to be fired. And if you get fired, it's the end of the world for you. If Donald Trump gets fired, he gets back on his jet and goes back to a nicer house than the White House anyway. So I think if it is a business analogy, the Republican Party has been put there to be the employees that we need. We put them there. And the fact that they're not behaving, I think, is to me the biggest shock and scandal of this entire age so far, and God knows we are swimming in them. For everybody here at BillWhittle.com, I'm Bill Whittle with Steve Green and Scott Ott. Thanks again for watching. Thank you so much for our paying members. They make all this possible, and we will see you next week.